Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, it's hard to call it a hiatus when I've just been too damn busy to do anything else. And guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening right now. And if you are, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, mash that like button, give us the old 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, we're on the Instagram, we're on the Letterboxd, we're on the TikTok, and there's probably others too, but we're there at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So do us that kindness and pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a good one. It is a little slice of indie Canadiana genre filmmaking. It is out with our neighbors in the States, and possibly here, I'm not entirely sure, on VOD platforms and also select theaters. Definitely select theaters in the States. We may have it on VOD, but the movie is called Trader, and it's from writer-director Corey Stanton, and it is the story of a manipulative sociopath who discovers her passion for stock market trading, and she sets out to conquer the financial world, all from the confines of her basement apartment. This is a woman in a box movie. It is a closed loop. It is really a fantastic piece of compelling cinema from our friends over at XYZ Films. And it's starring the one and only Kimberly Sue-Murray, a fantastic actress who basically carries the entire damn movie herself. There's no one else in the movie. Yeah, there's moments where she's talking on the phone with people, but no, it's pretty much her from minute one. And she gives a fantastic, thrilling, compelling performance that we just cannot look away from. We don't like her, but we're rooting for her, and we can't look away from everything that she does. It's really an unnerving, it's a psychological thriller that is, I don't like throwing around hyperbole, but it's kind of brilliant. And it's got a brilliant performance from our lead, Kimberly Sue, who we had the unique pleasure of sitting down and talking with about the film, how she got the part, getting into the moment for all the crazy stuff that had to go on to this film, and so very much more. But like I said, if you're in the States, check out Trader in select theaters. Pretty sure it might also be on video on demand platforms, if not now, imminently, but first enjoy our talk with Kimberly Sue, because quite frankly, it is a darn good one. Congratulations on the film. I mean, I absolutely loved it. It is such a ride. And I mean, just again, thank you for the time today. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
Now, I guess walk me through sort of the early days. I mean, because I can imagine it's every actor's dream to want to be the only one on camera until that they're actually going to be doing it.
It's like an actor's dream until you're doing it, and then you're like, I wish I had people to act with. No, listen, it was the perfect timing for me, to be honest, because I was sort of in the middle of some professional rebranding, if you will, and I had just cut off my hair, and I hadn't worked in a while because when you change your look so drastically, it's confusing for casting. They don't quite know what to do with you. And so I hadn't worked. And then Michael James Regan sent me the script. He's one of the producers, and he sent me the script, and he was like, I think you'd be perfect for this. And I read it, and it was the best read. The script is just grabs you and takes hold of you for the entirety. And I was sold. And then after that, Michael and I had to convince Corey, the director, to hire me. So I met with Corey, and he was just like, I kind of looked you up. I saw what you're up to. I watched your reel, but like, this character is goes through like an insane journey. And he didn't say that he didn't think I couldn't do it, but I was just like, okay, let me go home. Let me put together something to pitch to you. So I went home and I went through all of my old audition tapes. Old audition, and anything that I had done recently. And I kind of crafted an arc with my audition tapes to show Corey that I could do it all.
Very cool. All right.
And I submitted 10 minutes and I was like, forget about my demo reel. Just watch this. And after that, he's like, all right, the role's yours.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Now,
because I think that oftentimes it's like, the work that I've done is only a representative of a little bit of what I can do. And so in the world of self tapes, which I love, by the way, you get to showcase so much more of your range.
For sure. So,
yeah.
Now, how like, I'm kind of curious, just because, just finding the headspace for this character must have been really a unique experience. And I'm kind of curious, was this the kind of movie where Corey was sort of very precious to the words on the page, or was there room for you to sort of riff and kind of play with it and let it develop a bit and try to as you found this character's voice?
Well, okay, so Corey is, first of all, that guy is going places, and I'm just gonna tag along. He is so incredibly smart and with such clear vision that it was all on the page, and I didn't want to touch it. Like, I was just like, this was like Shakespeare to me. So I wanted to be word perfect, but I also wanted to make sense of the script for myself. So whenever I, was coming up against a line that I had trouble with, or then we would discuss and he would make the appropriate changes. But I never felt like I needed to improvise or anything like that, because it was so beautifully written. And it's so rare to have a script that is so meaty like that. And I knew that I had my work cut out for myself. So I worked with a dialect coach because I wanted to do a bunch of different dialects. And I did dialects that I had never done before. And I don't even know if I did them right. It's besides the point. But I worked with Ray Ellen Bodie, who's an amazing dialect coach. And she even couldn't help herself. Like, we ended up doing a lot of emotional prep work together. Like, it went beyond the dialect. Like, we both got really invested in just like going deep. And so I did a lot of prep work and backgrounds, like, because we don't know anything about Trader.
Yeah.
We call her Trader because she doesn't really have a name.
Yeah.
So it was really up to me to fill in the blanks for myself, so that when I was on set, there was a life behind all of that. And so that's what we did. Like, I think there was a month of like dialect coaching and emotional prep work. And so when we were on set for 12 days, I got to like just be in the character. Like, I didn't have to think. It was all just bubbling up to the surface. I didn't even, it felt like I was just play. Like, it just came up.
Well, I think that's the amazing thing about your performance, because, again, obviously you have a couple of scenes where you're on the phone with people, talking to people, but there's a lot of the film where you're almost having to react to the voices in your own head, and you're playing it on this really raw, emotional level. I'm kind of like, how did you manage to sort of keep the energy up? Because I can imagine, depending on how many takes you would do, or depending on what you were doing in the moment, it could get a bit exhausting.
Okay, but this is the thing though, like, what I find exhausting on set is the waiting around.
Right. Okay. All right.
So when you're on set and you're in every shot, your energy doesn't dip. You just,
right.
I was also very mindful of eating well and hydrating. We were shooting in a basement. It was very muggy and kind of cold and wet. So I made sure that I was, hydrated, and I stayed away from the carbs and the sugar, because I didn't want to crash.
Right.
But because I'm not waiting around for hours on end for my one line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was just in it, and like we'd finish our days. I was exhausted. I'd go home, like, and also we wanted it to be raw. So there was no makeup. My skin is like my biggest freaking insecurity. And I was like, my rosacea was on display. So I felt very like Kim, the actor, was very alert and hyper aware of everything and self-conscious and all of those things that made me, anxiety kicks in and that keeps you awake.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't the wasabi. I'm like, please tell me you didn't have to go method with the wasabi.
No, but I wish I had, because that was pea paste. And peas are like the thing. I'm not a picky eater, but I don't eat peas. They gross me out. And so the fact I had to snort, like just thinking about it makes me want to vomit.
Because I swear to God, just that moment with the little trickle of green coming down, I'm like, oh my God, did she actually do it?
Oh no, I did it. I snorted that. But that's also me. Like I don't call myself a method actor by any means, but for stuff like that, I like to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I let my armpit hair grow out because I was like, she doesn't care. She's beyond her. She doesn't care about personal hygiene. She doesn't care what she eats or drinks or how she looks. She's so focused on her succeeding at this task. Like this is life or death for her. So I really wanted to feel like
that's what makes traders so interesting, because on one end there is this past of victimhood. Do we know if it's true or not? Maybe yes, maybe no. But there is this sort of borderline sociopathy at the same time. You really have to kind of thread the needle with it. I mean, it makes for such a compelling watch, because I mean, at least for me as the viewer, I didn't necessarily like her, but I couldn't stop watching her at the same time.
Yeah. And that's what we wanted. We wanted a protagonist, antagonist, like she's both. We wanted to like be invested in her success.
Yeah.
But then when she crosses that line, there's like a moral line there, or where you're like, no, that's wrong. But then again, it's like, if depending on her past and like her past trauma and her PTSD and her life experience, and she's managed to justify this for herself. And I think, it was a fine line of like, do we like her? Do we not? Do we support this? Oh, no, we definitely don't. Yeah.
When it came down to the research, like for you, was it more about finding the emotional side, or did you have to dive into sort of the technicalities of sort of the trading of it all as well?
Oh my God, I'm so bad with. Yeah, well, Corey gave me a crash course so that I understood what was happening. But I then chose to, like, I was like, okay, I know the basics. I understand what's happening, but I didn't want I didn't have enough time to become a master of day trading. I really wanted to understand her inner life. So that's where I put my focus. But I did have like a basic crash course.
Well, I mean, this is independent cinema after all. You've only got so much time, right? So
you got to pick your battles.
No, I mean, I'm curious for you. Like, obviously, you've done a wide range of stuff. I mean, I love the end of sex, by the way, and I mean, just it's one of those things like where I'm kind of curious for you as a performer, like when you're reading a script or you're getting called to read for something, like what draws you in? Is it character? Is it material? Is it just being able to scratch something off the list and go, oh, it's a sci-fi movie. I've not done that yet. Like, what draws you into stuff?
For me, it's like a feeling. If I read a script and I get excited, then I trust that. And there are so many scripts where I turn down auditions. If I read an audition, I'm like, no. Yeah, if it feels like work, I don't want to do it. If it feels like play, then hell yeah. And so that's like my meter. That's how I know, and that's how I choose. And like, there's got to be an incentive. And for me, money has never been an incentive. I've never been driven by money. So it has to be either, a creative team that I really wanted to work with, or an aspect of the story that I've never explored, or human emotion, or I really like complicated characters that have like characters like Trader who are not good or bad. They live in this like gray zone. But I also I'm all over the map, to be honest. It's really just a feeling.
Well, because it's always fascinating to me to be able to talk to someone who can go from, say, maybe doing a Hallmark movie to, say, doing something like this, which is in many ways like borderline a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like I was doing a lot of sort of Hallmarky type movies. And listen, they're great. They're fun. You know, you're on set, it
Sure,
feels
yeah.
like family. It doesn't feel like you're working, you're just hanging out with your friends and doing a thing. But as an actor and, you know, an artist, I just want to challenge myself and push myself past my limits. And I got too comfortable. I got too comfortable doing the rom-coms. And so I stopped doing them. I stopped saying yes to those. And, you know, I'm a big believer that if you want something in your life, you got to make room for it. And I was going back to back from like, you know, rom-com to rom-com to rom-com series. And, you know, COVID hit and I was like, okay, you know, that's been great. And I'm so grateful. And, you know, I got to build my resume and feel more confident on set as a lead. But after that, I was like, okay, what kind of actor do I want to be? And like, what kind of actors do I look up to? And I like, I love transforming. I believe in the power of transformation. And so, you know, I wanted to do something else, something different. I wanted to provoke shock, you know. Yeah.
I
And I
mean,
think
is
that's,
that sort of, I guess, the moment in every actor's career, which I can imagine they have to face? Because, I mean, again, like you said, you know, they're fun. You're learning how to be a lead. It's a steady paycheck. But at some point, I can imagine, like, from your perspective, there's going to be a moment where I don't want to say level up, but just sort of differentiate who you are as a performer. Like, I mean, I can imagine
yeah,
that's a hard conversation to have sometimes.
it is an impossible conversation to have with yourself, with your partner, with your other actor friends, with your agent. It's not easy to turn down work. And for me, and listen, this is going to sound so cheesy, but when I made that decision for myself, there were so many times when I wanted to take it back and
Right.
like go back to making good money doing those movies. And I just kept listening to Matthew McConaughey's commencement speech where he talks about how, you know, he was like the rom-com guy. He was
Yeah.
like the hot rom, you know, he was the piece of meat. And we loved him for it and he made millions of dollars. And then he stopped because that's not who he wanted. That's not the kind of acting he wanted to do. And he had to rebrand. And you know, he didn't work, I think, for 2 years. And then he had bit parts where he got to like flex his dramatic muscle, you know? And then finally, I think it was Dallas Buyers Club that got
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I think
Like,
so. Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he was a dramatic actor and he that's all he's ever done since. So when I was like in the rut and I'm like, oh, I just want to go back to work. I miss work. I want to, you know, I'm a failed actor. I was just like, Michael, you know, Matthew McConaughey. And then I would play his speech. I have it saved on my phone. So that got me through a year of not working, like zero money, like zero, 11 months of not working.
And I mean, granted, he was turning down eight-figure paychecks. I mean,
Yes.
you did not have that luxury of previous jobs of turning down
No,
eight-figure
I had no cushion. But I had conviction and I have, you know, a very supportive partner who, you know, he's a cinematographer. He's seen my work. He's like, you know, you got this, just keep pushing through. And, you know, great friends who remind me why I do this. And my agent, Amanda Rosenthal, like every time I would give her a call and I was like, Amanda. And she's like, I know, just hang in there. She like, thank God she told me to hang in there.
I love it. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that begs the next question. Like, what is the next step in your evolution? I mean, you live with a cinematographer. Is making your own film sort of something that might be in the realm down the line?
Oh, 100%. Like he and I produced a handful of short films when we feel like it. It can't feel like work.
Right.
Um, and we actually did a short film this weekend with a friend. And then, you know, I do have a producer in me and I do have a future director. But right now I'm just so excited about acting and what I'm doing. I just wrapped on Die Alone, which is a movie sort of like a post-apocalyptic love, like a zombie love story. Not with zombies, but our version of zombies. And that was with Douglas Smith, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Frank Grillo. So I wrapped that last month, and I'm just about to start a new project that I can't talk about. But again, like so different, but like super excited about the creative team. And yeah.
Well, fantastic. I mean, I just pulled up Die Alone. That looks like a great cast.
Oh yeah, and like we shot just outside of Regina in Saskatchewan, and it's the first movie back. Their film industry, they lost their tax credit, and so their film industry died for like 10 years.
Oh no, yeah.
And yeah, and this is the first time like that where the government's like reinstated the tax credit. They've invested in the film industry, and it's just like the first movie back, and it's freaking awesome. Amazing script by Lowell Dean, and I'm just so excited for people to see that one.
Well, fantastic. Now, I mean, just to put a bow on this, I mean, it's a silly question, but it's one I like to ask. Was there a movie or a moment in your younger life that you saw, a performance or a film that had the light bulb go off for you that made you want to get into this business?
Yeah, yeah. Lord of the Rings.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, I saw it in theaters. I was like, I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was 9 because I was like, oh, I want to do that, what they do. Like, but when it clicked for me in terms of like just emotional, what drove me for then 20 some years was, yeah, I watched The Fellowship of the Ring in theaters, and I was transported into a different world, and I believed every second of it. I was moved. I cried. I had goosebumps. It stayed with me for weeks. And I was like, I want to do that. I selfishly want to be transported in my work, but I also want to move people. It's the power of film, and nowadays there's the power of TV.
Yeah, it's true.
But growing up, I had shows that I liked, but for me, movies were the ones that just burst my heart open. But now TV, I don't know if you've seen Silo on Apple TV.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my God.
I was like hooked. I binged it. I patiently waited every week to watch it. And it's still on my mind. Like it's just in there. And so I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm going to read because I can't wait. I can't wait a year. I got to read the books. So that's what I'm doing this summer.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm so glad you made this movie because I mean, Trader, like this to me is such a fantastic example of what cinema can do. It's unabashed, it's courageous. I mean, pardon the euphemism, it's got balls. I mean, it's one of those movies that is just does not give a fuck.
Fuck
The story and run with it.
Yeah, and hopefully, hopefully there's more of that on the docket for me. I like the rawness of it all. It's just there's a lot of fluff in our world right now. There's a lot of filters.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just mess things up a lot. I'm a shit disturber a little bit.
Keep being a shit disturber. Keep making cinema, man, because honestly, I can't wait for more people to see this. It's a hell of a performance and it's a hell of a film.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.